Welcome back, everybody. I'm having fun speaking with Ben Milliken. Ben is an actor. Ben is a producer. Ben is a father, and we see his son on occasion. He may run by. There you go, right on cue. Hey, the guy has perfect actor timing.
Perfect
So
timing.
yeah, so that works. Please welcome to the program, Ben Milliken.
How you doing?
I'm doing very well. I love that. So your son is 5 or 6. Where
He's
what age?
five. He's 5 years old.
When does he turn 6?
June. So he turned 5 in June during quarantine. We had a quarantine birthday for him.
Yes, yeah. We just had a quarantine birthday for my daughter who turned 16, and we're about to have one for my son who turns 11 in 8 days. So
Wow.
yeah, we'll see how it goes. But yes, I remember fondly the times when my kids were 5 years old. Not that they're bad or worse now, but they are really really
I
sweet.
would imagine it's just different. I guess when they're 5, they still like you,
Yeah, very
and
much.
and then like you're still cool. I guess.
It's
You
kind
know.
of that beautiful innocence of them
Yeah.
viewing you in the best light, and
Yeah.
yeah, that goes away quickly.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. I can imagine.
Yeah, but he seems to be doing great, so enjoy it while you can. Um,
Yeah.
Perfect. So what I wanted to talk to you about is I know you have a project that came out recently that I actually
Yeah.
saw the trailer. It's really interesting. Again, talking about young boys and dreaming, and it's called The Mighty Oak. And I recommend for people to watch it. We're going to have a link below so people can check it out on Prime, or they can go to a few other places. But it's a really nice project, and you got to act in it, and you were an executive producer as well. I
Yeah.
want to talk to you a little bit about it. So you started as an actor. I know that that project came about really quickly for you. How did that evolve into you being an executive producer as well?
Um. That happened, that happened actually almost a year after we had shot the thing. The final film, it was finally done, all the post production, all of that stuff, and then I was talking to one of the executive producers, and he, just talked about the strategy and what they were doing moving forward and all of that sort of stuff, and I we were chatting, and it turned out that I could be of assistance and could kind of help along that road and in the kind of back end of the film.
Mhm.
And so they brought me on as an executive producer, and we kind of went from there.
Nice. How did you enjoy, working from that side of the project?
It was fun, because I had such a great time doing the movie, and so I was really passionate about the project, and I wanted to see it get, the justice it deserved, kind of thing. I wanted to see it like I wanted people to watch this movie and to be able to see this movie because it was a special film for everybody involved,
Mhm.
and everybody worked so hard on this film. So I just wanted to do whatever I could to make sure that people got to see the movie, people got to enjoy the movie, and that everybody that puts their heart and soul into this film, you know, got what they deserved. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So what made it special for you personally?
Um, well, one, it was the experience of shooting the film. So I showed up on set, and it was one of those things where the entire cast and crew sat down for the first table read,
Mm.
and we all kind of looked at each other, and there was just an instant bond. It was just an instant friendships right away. And so we it was so funny. We sort of just looked around and was like, "This is really gonna work." Um, and yeah, those friendships have carried on. And I mean, it was just one of those things. It was a special environment. It was just the energy of the set and the way everybody worked together pretty much seamlessly, and that's what made it special.
Hmm. Yeah, I smiled when you said energy because as you were talking, I kept on thinking back to my shows, and
Yeah,
sometimes there's just that energy, and it's easy, and you don't have to think. It just everything flows. So
yeah,
in my mind, I had energy as the word, and then you said it.
yeah. It was just the vibe of it, the energy of it. It was that's what really just, I don't know. It really made it special.
Yeah, I get you. And then
Super important.
yeah, absolutely. Because again, I mean, for you, it was a really quick shoot. I think you've done the whole thing in 2 weeks. Is that correct?
Like 2 weeks, yeah. It
Yeah,
was so fast.
yeah. Um, it raises interesting, well, lots of interesting points. There's a lot of heart in the movie, which I appreciate. But it deals with the question of reincarnation,
Yeah.
or it brings that into a topic to discuss. What's your opinion? Has it before the movie and after the movie have you changed any of your own perspectives?
No, I think the movie I think the movie it just brings up the question. It
Hmm.
doesn't actually push an agenda,
Right.
which I felt was really, really nice. Because it just makes you kind of say, "Oh, what if?"
Yeah.
Or it makes you just kind of entertain the thought, but it
Hmm.
doesn't say this is what these particular filmmakers believe, therefore we're trying to push something through and make you believe that. It just
Hmm.
it just kind of asks the audience a question.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a really nice way to kind of bring that into a movie, just because I think a film a lot of times should be a dialogue with an audience,
Hmm.
rather than, some films push an agenda and some films should ask a question,
Hmm.
you know, and this was one of those films that just asked a question. And my views didn't really change from the beginning to the end of the film in regards to that. Um, but it did get me asking the question, and thinking about it a little bit, and could there be instances in my own life where that could be a factor, or that could have been, kind of real? But I wouldn't say that it converted me to a reincarnation guy. you know,
Yeah. And again,
and I'm
it's
not
an
saying I'm opposed to those beliefs or anything like that. I'm like, it's I just don't think that's where I am. But I think basically where I am in regards to all of this is like, we're all gonna find out one day.
yeah,
But when we find out, I don't think we'll be around to tell everybody else. So
usually not.
yeah,
It's an interesting question. There have been films that deal with it, which I
yeah,
include, and just it's one of those exercises where you kind of decide what is it that you believe, and it asks you, and it provides an opportunity for you to go deep within oneself, which I
yeah.
truly enjoy. So for
I
me,
enjoy that too. I enjoy that too. So it's kind of nice to be respectfully asked the question and say, "Hey, look, what do you think of this?"
mhm,
You
agree.
know?
And as a dad, I mean, you did the movie a little while ago, but you already had your son then.
Yeah.
So did it influence any of your choices as an actor working with, I mean, he's not a child, but working with a youngster?
Um, I mean, being a dad influences everything I do.
Hmm.
So, there's probably, hey, my light just got better. Um,
Hmm.
there's probably not a single thing where being a father doesn't come into my mind and influence my decisions.
Hmm.
I think being a dad, since I've gotten jobs and worked on projects before and after being a father, it definitely broadens my perspective on certain things,
Hmm.
um, and my choices when it comes to material definitely does get influenced by being a dad.
Hmm. So do you find that you're more interested in projects in which you get a chance to, focus more from that perspective as somebody who's, more of an adult and grown as opposed to a some of the projects like Blue Crush 2, you were playing somebody who's younger who still doesn't have those experiences. So do you tend to, gravitate towards the former type of projects?
Um, Not really. I gravitate more towards material.
Hmm.
So the material, whether it be that kind of role or not, for me it's all about story and what is the story. And if it's a story that's compelling and needs to be told, or has the purpose of making somebody laugh, or has a message, or whatever, um its specific purpose, I gravitate towards the material, first and foremost. Being a dad just adds an extra layer of perspective to kind of everything. And that's more of an internal thing. That's not really something that I feel as though I need to go and project in every single role I do. It's more of an internal thing for my own process, where where I'm able to kind of see things, and I'm sure every single dad can attest to this, that you never see things the same
Hmm.
after. I think it's because it's never about you again. And
Yeah.
I think that kind of bleeds into the work.
Yeah, for me, I noticed that, since I became a father, I tend to look at adults from the perspective of, well, this person was a kid, and I see them as a kid, and some of the issues that they're going through as an adult, I get to be more empathetic to them because I view them not as this arbitrary adult figure, but as somebody who was a child, and I see that
That's how
in
I
them.
view myself.
Huh?
That's how I view myself. I feel like there's never more of a mirror than having a child.
Yep.
They really show you exactly who you are,
Mm. Yeah, and
for better or for worse.
it could be a very pleasant experience or a very painful one. I agree.
It's definitely confronting either way.
Yeah.
It's the best though.
Yeah. I
It's the best
understand.
though. It's been the ultimate. The ultimate. A dear friend of ours said to us, my wife and I, some parents have kids that are brought into the world for them to teach, and some parents have kids that are brought into the world to teach them.
Mhm.
And we definitely got one that was brought into this world to teach us.
Yeah, that's great.
Mm.
I heard you talk about how wise and emotionally mature your son is and how sensitive he is. So it was
Yeah,
really nice to hear that.
yeah, yeah. He really is. He really is. He's like all of the best parts
Hmm.
of myself and my wife combined, and it's so amazing to see. It's beautiful, and he's just got this heart that just is just for people, and it's amazing. But he was born that way. He came
Mhm.
out like that, and it's, of course, it's like the environment that he grows up in, has a lot to do with it, but it's like he had it ingrained in him
Mhm.
that it was just, he he shares, and no one taught him how to share. I've never seen a kid that does that before. Normally it's mine, mine, mine.
Yeah.
That he like shares, and he is compassionate, and it's yeah, he's a real special kid. I'm not just saying that because he's mine, but he is.
Yeah, no, it sounds like it. It certainly does, and again, brings us back around to reincarnation of, if one is to believe that, then your son, must have been somebody at a high level of spiritual development that
Yeah,
is bringing some of that through to this lifetime. So.
yeah. I suppose you could say that.
That's my way of kind of looking at everything. I do
Yeah,
believe in reincarnation, so if people haven't gotten that by now, I certainly do.
yeah,
Yeah, it's just, and again, a cool concept and something to help you view the world through a different prism. And sometimes it's very helpful. Sometimes it's very confusing, but you go with you go with both.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, being a father, okay, the last question in terms of the kids, but from the acting perspective, it's interesting to me that, having a young son who you so drawn to, and having to be away working as an actor,
Yeah.
um, does it influence the type of projects that you say yes to, because this one I'll be more local and more present, and this one I'll have to be away for a number of months? How does that work into the equation for you?
Um, I think those are all. Once again, it's based
Mm,
on the material, and based on the project, obviously.
mm,
But it's also, it's a funny thing because a lot of times people ask about, how do you deal with being away for such an extended amount of time? But what I have found so far is I'm home more than I'm away. So it's even if I'm away, all up a quarter of the year or something like that. That's 3/4 of the year that I'm here.
mm,
And I was someone in a 9 to 5 job that comes home every night.
mm,
They miss more moments than I do, even if I travel a lot. You know what I mean? Like I was fortunate enough to be home for my son's first steps. I was
mm,
because of my job. It was in the middle of the day, and he got up and started working. If I had a regular job, you know, I would have missed him.
yeah,
And whoever was taking care of him would have been the witness of his first steps, and they wouldn't have been walking towards me. So there's so much that I do get to see and be a part of, and um, experience with him
mm,
with this career path because of the amount that of time of off time that I do get.
mm,
Um, don't get me wrong, the times away are hard.
yeah,
Even with things like Skype and FaceTime and stuff, and you can still kind of interact face to face, but it's through a screen. It's not the same.
mm,
Um, and those times are hard. Uh, but they make the home times much better.
yeah.
That makes sense?
Yeah, certainly does. And thank you for answering that. So I remember, again, listening to some of the interviews that you've done. People looking at you right now won't certainly understand how that's possible, but in when you were younger, you were a chubby kid.
Yeah,
So at least that's what I heard you say. Is that accurate?
yeah. I was a chubby kid.
Yeah, and then you started boxing, I think, at a time when you were 11 years old, and
11
then
years old, yeah.
that helped you in many ways.
Yeah.
Um, Thinking from where you are right now, a number of years later, what was that moment? Was that a pivotal moment in your life? And how did it help you get to who you are right now?
When I started boxing, was it pivotal?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, Absolutely. It was probably one of the most pivotal moments in my life. I learned a discipline. Um, I learned how to show up to something even when I didn't want to, um, or when
Yeah.
I didn't feel like it, or when I felt tired. It was just, you just go. Even if you don't do anything, you just go. Um, and, it was something about the confidence in myself that it gave me.
Mhm.
Um, because I started boxing because I heard a rumor that some kid wanted to beat me up at school. So uh, I had no idea like how to fight or anything like that. I wasn't one of the kids that fought, so I was like, I better learn how to defend myself.
Mhm.
So I started, and nothing ever came of it. It was just a rumor that never actually happened. But I found something in boxing that it wasn't about violence, and it wasn't about any of that. It was more about um, testing yourself against yourself
Mhm.
every single day, and having that discipline with your own body, and then knowing in yourself that you can kind of handle yourself,
Yeah.
and you know the capabilities and the limitations of your own body, and then how far you can actually push yourself, because a lot of people, they go so far, and then when you think you're at the point where you can't go anymore, you're only like 40% done. You can
Mhm.
always go further, you can always go one more, you can always you know do one more. And so it taught me how to just go for things, and really kind of push myself, and set goals and work really hard to to get to them
Yeah.
in a physical way. And I think that's a good, once you experience something physically, I think it really gets ingrained in your psyche and in your subconscious, that you can kind of access that habitually.
Yeah. I know you still box, you still practice. You're not competing, but you still box. That's a part of
Yeah,
your daily regimen. That's
yeah,
great.
yeah,
Um, I find that being on set for so long and being an actor is physically, emotionally, psychologically, energetically draining. So keeping your body in shape is paramount to you having any kind of success as an actor as well.
absolutely. It
Yeah.
absolutely is. I mean, I can always, I always feel different if I'm not working out, or I'm not taking care of myself physically. Always it always bleeds into every other area of my life. Like,
Yeah.
I'll notice other things starting to kind of crumble,
Yeah.
and my I start getting a little more irritable. I start getting less motivated. I'm more tired, which you'd think it would be the opposite. I'm
Yeah.
lethargic, and I don't want to do anything. But then once I start again, and I start, you know, sticking to that routine, then I'm that you can't stop me.
Yeah. Same way. And I'm in front of my computer a lot. I do the
Mhm.
show. Before the show, I do the prep. I
Yeah,
have other commitments that are paying the bills at the moment, and they're all in front of the computer. And I noticed I'm older than you are, but I noticed that if I'm not moving, if my body does not move throughout the day, if
Yeah.
my number of steps is not at least at 6, 7,000, then I feel like I want to go to sleep all the time, and
It
it's just
actually changes the chemistry in your brain. It
yeah.
actually does. It's like science. It changes everything. And then you feel like you want to go to sleep all the time, but the quality of the sleep is nowhere near as good, right?
Yep, yep.
It's yeah.
So I find that, I get up in the morning, I have to do a little workout, I have to get some walking in, prepping for interviews. I go down to the basement where I have my treadmill. I pop an interview on the TV, so I'm doing my prep while I'm walking instead of,
Yeah.
sitting in front of the computer. So I'm getting that, kind of engine going. In the middle of the day, I have to get up, I have to do something, and then
Yeah.
in the late afternoon, evening hours, I have to be active. If I'm not active, forget it.
Yeah.
It does not work out. The whole body goes bye bye.
It just goes bye-bye. That's for sure. That's for sure. I'm just starting a new regimen actually. I'm prepping for my next project. Which
Yeah,
is
I
gonna
see
be
the hair as well. You cut the hair short.
oh, this is just quarantine. So this is just you can't get a haircut anywhere else, so I just do it myself. Um, but yeah, I'm it's twice a day now, kind of two workouts now, and it's gonna be a pretty physically demanding role. So I'm
Good,
excited for that. It's gonna be a new challenge for me.
nice.
Mm.
I find it interesting, and I talked about this because an idea came to mind as I was talking to another actor, a UK actor. I know technically you were born in the UK, you were there until you were 2, but you're basically Australian
Yeah,
because you were in Sydney at the time. Um,
yeah,
and he was talking about boxing and martial arts, and the idea came to mind that when we're looking at boxing, that boxing or some sort of martial arts really has to be a part of a part of course of study for an actor, because when we're in a scene, the scene is all about the connection. The scene is all about noticing what's happening in the eyes, what's happening in the body, being able to absorb it, listen, and be affected by it. And I think that being in a boxing ring, working one on one, even in a sparring session without getting hit in the face hard, it can be really helpful to an actor because they get to understand the dynamics of what it's like to be in an actual scene with a person. So I think maybe in some way,
yeah.
being a boxer also helped you be a better actor.
Well, it all comes down to one word: presence.
Yeah.
In a boxing ring, whether it's sparring or not, I mean, sometimes you still do get hit pretty hard even when you're sparring. I've I've had some doozies. But um, you can't afford to be 100 to be anything less than 100% present
Yeah.
because a quarter of a second can
Yep.
change everything.
Yeah.
Just that millisecond of distraction
Hmm.
uh, changes can change everything. Um, and that you can see that when you're, say for instance, when you're watching something, you, and you can see two actors doing a scene, and then you notice you're like, for some reason I just didn't believe that person in that moment
Yep.
because you saw him leave the scene for a second, and that something took him out, or something. Usually the editors will cut away from that scene, but like even in a class scenario or something like that. And I've noticed that myself, like in some of my own performances, if I've been on set or in a class scenario or anything, I've noticed when I'm right there with someone,
Hmm.
100% present, and everything else kind of disappears.
Yeah.
And those are the moments you work for, right? That's why you do it, because it's pure bliss. That one moment, if you get it, you're lucky. If you
Yep.
get one of those moments, you're so lucky. But then you notice you're having that moment, and boom, you're taken out of it right away.
Yep.
Um, and I've been able to notice in myself, just even when I do it in everyday life, I'll be having like a conversation with somebody and then realize like, wow, I'm not here with you for like 3 seconds. I was gone. I was completely somewhere else.
Yep.
I've started saying that to people too. Like, I'm so sorry. I just completely checked out
Yeah.
and didn't hear what you said. Can we start again, please?
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's that presence that is the key. It's the most important factor, I think, for anything.
Yeah. As you were saying that, I again, my references come from all sorts of places, including films that I've watched. I don't know if you've ever seen Somewhere in Time with uh, Christopher Reeves. It
I
was a
haven't.
movie. You haven't seen it. It's 30, 20, 30 years old at least. But it's a really, really fantastic film where, in a way, he kind of goes back in time to meet the love of his life.
Hmm.
Um, and I don't want to give anything away because if you watch it, you'll see what I'm talking about. But there is a moment where he loses being present in that moment for a second, and he completely gets taken out of that. So immediately, that's where I go, and I'm like, yes, that's a perfect analogy to being in a scene and then not being fully present, and
Yeah,
you're out, and it's almost impossible to get back in, and you have to go a different take.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, watch that movie if you get a chance. I think you'll enjoy
Okay,
it.
I'm gonna make a note of that for sure.
Somewhere in Time with Christopher Reeve.
Somewhere.
Um, yeah, there's another wonderful actress whose name escapes me at the moment, but she's very very well known. Which we'll look up, and I'm gonna put a link below the video so everybody can watch it
Yeah,
as well.
I'm just making a note of it right now on my phone.
Yep. So you've mentioned again being on set, and it's always interesting for me to know what are your kind of three top things to be aware of as an actor on set. You've mentioned, presence, and we'll have that as the first. What are two others that you find are paramount in order to be successful?
Be nice to everybody.
Hmm.
Not to get somewhere, but just be nice to everybody because that's the right thing to do. Um, you know, I think a lot of times, actors, there are times when actors can tend to get caught up in the "this is my show" kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very self-involved kind of profession, isn't it? It's very like
Yeah.
it's very and I don't think that it's that way on purpose, but everything is because you're judging yourself all the time,
Mhm.
and everyone else is kind of judging you from the beginning. It can feel that way. Um, because you get told no so often, and you get told this and you get told that. You go and audition and you're not right for the part. It's not like a product you're selling, it's you that is right. So it's like a very kind of self involved profession, and I
Yeah.
think that can have a way of really playing on people's minds. And if you don't kind of have the mentality that, as an actor in a film or TV show or anything, it's really not about you. It's about the story, and you have a job there to do there, just like everybody else.
Mhm.
And this is where you fit in the cog of getting this story told. This is just your part in telling this story. And you know every single person, in my eyes, deserves just as equal amount of respect, you know, from the director to the actors to the PAs to everybody. Everybody is so important on a film set. So to wardrobe people, to everybody, you just be nice and respectful to everybody and courteous. You know, even down to at the end of the day, you know, hang your clothes up for the wardrobe people, because they're going to come into your trailer and they're either going to pick them up off the floor where you leave them, or they're going to take them on the hanger, hang them up.
Yeah.
You know, be nice to everybody, because that's the right thing to do. You know, and that's probably one of my first and foremost rules for myself when it comes to being on a set. That's number one. And then the third one would be, you know, respect the material. You know, respect the material, and respect the craft. Show up prepared.
Right.
Show up. Do your homework. Show up ready. And that's not just for that. It's just, you know, for everybody's sake. That just goes into being nice to everybody. That's part of being nice to everybody. Because if you're showing up prepared, you're showing up ready, then you've got all these people that are showing up before you, and then you got all these people that are going to leave after you, you know, and they're all there dependent on you getting this part of the job done so that everybody can do their jobs. Like, everything's kind of hanging on that. And if you show up ready, prepared, you know all of your lines, you've done your homework, and you can just get in there and work with the directors and collaborate with your castmates and just make something great, then it just makes everybody's job easier.
Yeah, agreed. Thank you. It's good to hear, and I hear that often, where again we as people have to hear something at least 7 times before it gets through. So I'm hoping that, you know, people watching these interviews are going to keep on hearing that same thing from all of the actors, and it's going to become second nature to them. So thank you.
I hope so.
Yeah. What's you know, during this time of COVID, when things slowed down, have you had a chance to binge any shows? What's been something
So many shows.
Yeah, you spend time on a particular show or film?
We're you know what we're watching right now? Haunting of Bly Manor.
Okay.
Did you see Haunting of Hill House?
No, it's not exactly my genre, but I've heard of it. I've seen.
It's not mine either.
Okay.
But like scary movies and scary shows, like I don't do well with. I get scared.
Right.
But it's so well written and so well done, and it's so, like, the characters are so complex and fantastic, and there are twists that I didn't see coming. It's more of a mystery than anything else. So we're kind of hooked on that right now.
I wrote that down. I'll check it out.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. We just watched Utopia as well, and that was cool. Very interesting to watch it now. But it was a good show. It was a good show. You know, and there are so many good television shows. We also went and revisited some of the old shows that we watched. Like, we rewatched Dexter. We started rewatching Lost. We thinking about doing it with Breaking Bad. I don't know.
I know myself too well to know that if I start Lost or if I start Breaking Bad or Game of Thrones, or Sopranos. I'm gonna sit and I'm gonna finish it, and I just don't have the time. So I
Yeah.
am not allowing myself to go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah. Oh, how good was The Sopranos? My goodness, that was such a good show.
Yeah.
One of the best characters is ever written for television, Tony Soprano.
Yeah, I mean it's acclaimed. It's the first, second, or third best TV drama of all time.
Of all time.
Yeah. My favorite show has been The West Wing. So that's the
Oh
one that.
my gosh, so good.
Mhm.
So good. They're doing a reunion thing.
They are, I think, 15th of October. They all got together a few weeks ago and they shot this, and it's airing 15th of October. One of my dear friends was a part of that.
Oh wow.
Yeah, Thomas Capacci, who plays Bob Slattery on the show, and he's the deputy secretary. Um,
Wow.
and they were kind enough to kind of send some photos along, so I saw him and all meeting everybody. It was just
So
it was a
cool.
really sweet and surreal thing now in COVID time to see all of them,
Yeah.
wearing special equipment, taking photos. It was, yeah, it's one of those shows that I didn't watch it when it came out. I watched it.
No, me either. I watched it later on.
Yeah, and then it's still my top favorite drama ever. And
Yeah, it's definitely up there. I mean, Sorkin's just a genius, though.
it's just I Newsroom. I love Newsroom. It's unfortunately it was short-lived, but I love Newsroom. I love Sports Night. Just I think Adam Sorkin he has that touch that I truly enjoy in the show.
Yeah, Aaron
And
Sorkin, the way he does dialogue, like his dialogue is almost like a song, just the way it just
yeah,
and the walk and talk. Like he invented the walk and talk.
he
Brilliant.
he said that it was not actually him who invented it. It was his DP that showed him an idea for it, and then
Yeah,
he immediately said, "Yep, let's do it." But he's the one who got it started on TV.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Fantastic. I love it.
The
Love it.
whole Yeah, Aaron Sorkin. I didn't mean Adam Sorkin.
Uh,
There is another Sorkin who they're not related as far as I know, but he is one of the three co-creators of Billions, which is my
Oh,
second.
I haven't watched Billions.
Ooh, you want to see? I mean, aside from an extremely intelligent and interesting show with plenty of twists, but you want to see an acting clinic? For me,
Yeah.
Billions is acting school. Just
Wow.
watching Paul Giamatti, watching Damian Lewis, watching all of these incredible actors on screen. I basically watch, then I back up, then I rewatch.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. What
It's
about Succession? Did you like Succession?
I know of it. I have not seen it. I
Oh yeah,
definitely.
you gotta watch Succession. Yeah, that's a good show.
I'm gonna write that down also.
Write that one down.
Perfect. Thank you. If again, for people who do not know you, if you had to kind of define yourself in 3 words, what would those words be?
Oh my gosh, these are the worst questions
I
ever. Not all of them, but it's just define yourself in 3 words. How can you do this? It's like bullet pointing yourself.
Mhm.
How would I define myself in 3 words? Uh, define myself in 3 words. I
The
don't
first
know, man.
three that come to mind, and
um,
well, to give you a little more time as you're thinking about it, I asked this
yeah,
because I am a believer that in trying to understand who you are,
yeah.
you kind of go through this exercise. And I made myself go through this exercise and come up with one word that describes me and defines me, that is that kind of at the core of who I am.
What
So
is
that
it? Tell me. I'd be so interested to know.
for me, I kind of created a word, and that
Uh,
word is inspirer. Um,
okay.
that's kind of my purpose in life. I am here to inspire others in many different ways. The show is one
Gotcha.
of the ways. I'm a poet, so I do all sorts of inspirational memes. I coach. I speak to people as a motivational speaker. Everything that I'm doing seems to be about sharing of experiences in order to inspire people to be better, to grow, to become better versions of themselves, to get in touch with who they truly are, to live their life to the fullest, and to get in touch with their essence of being and then live that. So inspirer for me is that.
Okay. Yeah, I hear you there.
Yeah.
Um, I think one of the things, like in when it comes to always wanting to be growing and always wanting to be better, that's something that I
Mhm.
am always doing, because I think everything else, that we've talked about today is
Yeah.
secondary to that. So,
Mhm.
um, I have a thing where I always want to be better than I was yesterday.
Yeah.
Um, and you know, consistently want to be better than yesterday. So I guess that those would be the three words: better than yesterday.
Yeah. And guess what the title for this segment is going to be?
Better than yesterday.
This,
There it is.
yeah,
No, I think that's important, even if it's just one simple thing.
yeah,
If you do one simple thing better than yesterday, you've grown.
yeah,
And it also means that you have to look at yourself and you have to question yourself and take an honest inventory of yourself for the day.
yeah,
Did I have an attitude today? Did I react in a way that I shouldn't have reacted to something that didn't need to be reacted to? Was I in a mood? Because you know, it's just everything gets played, and then the why.
mm,
So that's something, and I wasn't always like that. That's something that actually my wife really helped me realize and kind of see, because she's someone that does that and has always kind of done that
mm,
just naturally, always tried to be a better person. She looks at herself every single day, and that's something that I was able to pick up from her. It's just
yeah,
always try to be better than you were the day before.
yeah. It's great. And it's such a great and easy thing to carry, and at the end of every day, ask a question.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and as a side comment, aren't wives great? I,
Oh my
I
gosh, they so are.
and I don't mean that in well, people can think of it whatever they want, but I can tell you for sure that I've been married for almost 21 years now. I think
21 years. Congratulations.
thank you. 10 for you, I think, right? Is that correct?
10
Or
for 10 for us. We just had our 10th in August.
congrats. And I can tell you with all honesty and without any hesitation that because of my wife, I am a far, far better person than I was before her. Um,
100%.
yeah, so I'm a big I'm a big fan.
Big fan of wives. That's for
Yep.
sure. We don't deserve wives. They're,
Uh, yeah, and my wife
really, really. Yeah.
has gone through a lot of crap with me, so God bless her for still
Yeah.
doing.
I know. I know. It's just like, it amazes me,
Mm,
just how one thing, my wife's, one of my biggest inspirations and my muse and my best friend in the entire world. And it's fascinating how sometimes I sit there and think, oh, man, if I'd have never met you when I met you, then I don't know where I would be.
Yeah.
Because I was a mess then. So imagine what I'd be like now.
Well,
Yeah.
good job by both of you, by her for inspiring, and for you for actually taking and doing something about that inspiration. So,
Well, that's the thing. It's just you've got to want to listen, and you've got to want to change, and you've got to want to be better.
yeah.
Otherwise it doesn't work.
Yeah, which again brings us back to the whole acting part, right? When the
Mhm.
other person in the scene is talking, really listen and allow that
Really
to
listen.
be open to it. So yeah. Thanks, man. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Yeah.
Good luck
Well,
with the upcoming challenging project. I'm happy that you get a chance to work out twice a day now, which is good.
yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, let us know when it's out. We'll definitely post it, and hopefully people get to see it as well.
All righty. Thank you
Yeah,
so much. This was fun.
yeah, my pleasure. And thanks to everybody for tuning in into another episode of The Love of Acting. We know you love it as much as we do, and that's why we enjoy doing this for you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.